it feels like
this.
it feels like it's grating against my throat. Yeah.
I wanted to get like an ear cotton bud and then just like flick the phlegm out.
Oh my god!
Because it won't come out.
It feels like it's gravelly all the time at the moment.
You're gravelly all the time.
I don't know what that means. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. We're not. There's a bug in the house. We went a whole year with no bugs in the house. Now we just can't seem to get rid of whatever it is that's fucking floating around right now.
I don't think we've gone a year. I don't think we've
gone most of the year without being ill.
No, I don't think we've gone.
Yeah, we have. Yeah.
No.
Before you comment, right? Yes, this is the same T-shirt I was wearing yesterday, which I put on just before the stream yesterday. So it's not that I'm saving on washing, although we are a little bit. Okay, I know some of you are a bit eagle-eyed with stuff like that.
I think they're only eagle-eyed because it helps differentiate the streams if you're wearing a different top.
Yeah, but there's not much differentiating to do right now. We'll talk about that just a moment. Before we do that, one of the reasons why I think I was choking to death before the stream started, this might be bad if I have to do this all stream, is because Mr. the Rolling Bane,
keep rolling,
after yesterday's absolute big dickery, has big dickeried it again. So, another 50 from Mr. the Rolling Bane.
You know there's a didgeridoo. Could we say dickery-doo?
Yeah. So we're halfway towards the target that doesn't exist today. That's right. We are halfway towards a target that doesn't exist today. Why no target, I hear you ask? Well, that's because it's a slightly different stream today. Is the music playing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear it. It's because it's a slightly different stream today, right? And the reason why it is a slightly different stream today is because it is Veterans Day. So it's Armistice Day here in the UK. We celebrated Armistice Day in our usual fashion, the same way, essentially, that we celebrated Armistice Day yesterday as well. So we have Remembrance Sunday here in the UK. No music. It's really quiet right now. If I speed it along a little bit, hang on, let's accelerate it to there. You should be able to hear that now. That's bad. There we go. We fixed it. Okay. So we celebrated Armistice Day. We celebrated Remembrance Sunday yesterday, right? We did the stream last night, okay? Which basically means we do 2 minutes silence, lots of parades and ceremonies and stuff like that. Remember the fallen. Now, what I didn't know until quite recently, actually, is that it's different in the US to the UK. So they actually celebrate the fallen in like May. Is when they do that, yeah. And then they don't celebrate the fallen on Armistice Day. On Armistice Day, which is a national holiday for them, take note, UK government. On Armistice Day, they celebrate. They got it changed in like 1954, and they got it changed to Veterans Day. And so the day in May is to celebrate those all killed.
Okay.
But the day today is to literally celebrate all veterans, which I think is quite nice.
Yeah.
So. We did a remembrance parade, a remembrance stream yesterday for remembering all of the fallen, etc. And then today we're doing veterans to celebrate all of those people that served at some point. So we would come under that umbrella if we were in the US. We're not, obviously. I quite like it as a concept. 2 different days, one for the past, one for the perished, and one for the still living. I think it's quite nice because often I think. I'm going to say this. I genuinely think often those that go to conflict and come back with the memories are sometimes easily forgotten about. And we know a few who have horrific memories and severe PTSD, and it's often easy to overlook their experience and be like, yeah, but you're still alive. So, which is obviously a blessing.
Yeah, but it diminishes.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah.
So I actually quite like the idea of another day that celebrates those veterans who are still with us, who have been to conflict and served in the forces and stuff like that. I think it's really important, actually. I quite like it. So today's Veterans Day. And as usual, like we said last night, we have a community that's full of current and ex-serving personnel for Army, Navy, Air Force, both here in the UK, in the US, and across the globe. So now's the time. If you're in the chat right now and you are a veteran of sorts, what I want to hear about, so what we wanted to hear about yesterday was memories and things like that. What I want to hear about today is your experiences and what you did. So specifically, if you were in the forces or you've got someone close to you who's a veteran, what did they do? What was their role? Because people think army. I'm terrible for this. People think army and people think tanks and infantry and guns and attack helicopters and jet fighters and we're good.
Yeah.
And they forget about the absolute raft of things that come to allow those parts of the forces to operate to work.
All the little moving parts
All the
behind the
moving
soldier
parts, yeah.
that enables him to go, or her.
Which was
to
really
go.
good on yesterday's parade as well in London when they talk about all those different, all the way back to factories in the UK making munitions.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's fascinating. Genuinely think it's interesting. So let me know. Like, you stick it on postcards if you want. Zero pressure today. I'm going to rue the day I say this on a Monday, which is a normal stream. But tonight, as usual, because it's a Remembrance type stream, it is not about making money. Thank you, John McCardle, by the way, for coming in and dropping 20. So we are on 70 members already. Tonight's not, but so thank you, because you're incredible. I have to say thank you, because it's a nice thing to do. But this isn't about making money tonight. I want to hear about your experiences and stuff like that. If you want to ask me about mine, you can ask me about mine. But it's time to share in this wonderful family that we were all part of once and tell us what you did, because it's all important shit. No job in the forces is a shit job. Well, no, they're all shit jobs to some extent, but none of them are a worthless job. I think is a better word to use. I think, to be honest with you. Anyway, yeah. Thank you so much, John McConnell, for 20 gifted, and thank you, Roland Bain, for 50.
If you didn't end up working on Apache, what would you have liked to have done in the army?
That's really interesting. Well, so interestingly, I didn't join to fix Apaches. That's not why I joined. So I fell to that fucking careers office. I joined originally because I wanted to become an Apache pilot. I wanted to pilot Apaches.
Okay.
That was my this is my dream job. I want to fly Apache helicopters. Who doesn't? Fucking coolest helicopters in the world. Who doesn't want to fly Apache helicopters? So that was what I wanted to do eventually, and I say that because my army career sort of started long before my army career started. I originally did the AOSB for Welbeck College, the Army Officer Selection Board for Welbeck College, which is the technical training college for the army, and they only took like 120 people in a year, and I got accepted in AOSB for Welbeck. I passed all the officer selection stuff, passed board. At the age of 15, right? And then when I did my GCSEs, they wanted a C or higher in English, a B or higher in maths and science, and then 2 other A to Cs. I got an A in English and an A in science. An A in English and an A in maths and a C in science, and then I got 12 other A to Cs. No, lies. 13 total, 10 other A to Cs, right? 10 other A to Cs. And they phoned up my mum. I was 15, and phoned up my mum and was like, "We're worried that he's not going to be academically capable enough." And she was like,
mental.
He did 13 A to Cs. 13 A to Cs at GCSE. Like, yeah, we're not sure he's going to cope. She was like, he did 13 A to Cs. Like,
do you think
you asked for 5, he did 13.
Do you think this is where it begins of, it's not enough? What is enough?
So I ended up not then being able. I lost my place to Welbeck basically because of that. Because I got a C. I was predicted A in science, got a C. The school, to be fair, the school got investigated for its science results that year because the predicted versus the achieved were very different. I don't know what came of it. I don't fucking care. But yeah, so I then didn't go to Welbeck and went to normal college. And initially, Southampton recruiting officers was like, we still want you to join as an officer. So we'll do college. We'll go Southampton University for OTC. And we'll go Sandhurst straight after that. As a year into college, I was like, I don't want to do the officer route, actually. I want to go in at the bottom and work my way up. And at that point, I decided I wanted to fly Apache attack helicopters. So I went into the recruitment office to join up. Did my BARB test, British Army recruitment test, right? And it's all spatial awareness and all that kind of stuff. And I came back with the highest score Southampton careers officers had ever seen, which was, look at me, I'm fucking great. And they were like, you can do any job you want. You could literally do any job you want in the army. Your GCSE results followed by your BARB test, you can do any job you want. What do you want to do? I was like, I want to fly Apaches. They're like, well, here's the downside. You can't join as a pilot. You're not allowed to. There is no pilot under the rank of sergeant in the army, so you can't join as a pilot. So you have to join a different job to start with, and then apply for a pilot when you're able to, which is X number of years. You have to be at least corporal recommended for sergeant, I think. I can't remember the details off the top of my head. So I was like, cool, easy. In that case, I'll join the Air Corps. And the guy was like, you could join the Air Corps. I was like, I don't want to join the Air Corps. He was like, well, you could. But you're going to literally be putting fuel in, loading bullets on, and that's about pushing aircraft around. He's like, you've got the highest barb test score we've ever seen. You could do any fucking job you want. I was like, well, what? I want to be a pilot. You told me I can't be a pilot. And he's like, so how about we have these things called REME engineers who literally fix aircraft. So here's my idea. Join as a REME engineer, because you can do that role. You've passed high enough to do that role. Join as an aircraft engineer. Spend your first 5 to 8 years fixing the aircraft. You'll know it inside out because you've literally had to fix the thing. And then when you apply to be a pilot, you'll have good knowledge of the aircraft. Well, that sounds like a great idea. Beautiful. Yeah, okay, let's do that then. Little did I realise that our trade was pinch points, which meant that they basically wouldn't let people leave if they could help it. So it was almost impossible to transfer. It wasn't impossible. People did do it. People have done it, but they made it almost impossible to leave REME technician and go and be a pilot. But at that point, I was also so in love with the job I was doing at the time. I was like, I don't think I want to do it anyway. I want to be a pilot now.
I heard a rumour that you can't be a pilot if you're over a certain height.
I've not heard that.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Maybe for things like fast jets. But yeah, and that's why I ended up being an engineer till the day I left. Because I joined to be a pilot. Yeah, unbelievable. But what I also learned about the army is it's constant moving fucking goalposts. So we used to go to Arborfield, which was the army's technical training college, and you would have to do common foundation, technical foundation training, and then depending on your score, depending on what jobs are available to you. So even when you join to be an aircraft technician, you do your basic training, you go do your common foundation, you go do your technical foundation. If you don't score enough, you don't get to be an aircraft technician. So if you scored below a certain percentage, they'll be like, you can go work on radars or Challenger 2 tanks, but you can't work on aircraft. But I joined to be an aircraft technician. I mean, tough. You didn't score high enough. Now, thankfully, I scored high all the way through. But when we went through on our technical foundation, you had to get above X percentage, like 89% average or something across all your exams to be able to be an aircraft technician. You had to get above like 80% to be an avionics technician. Because they had more people at that point that wanted to be avionics than wanted to be aircraft. So they changed the windows to make it seem more elite to go aircraft, or whichever way around it was. I can't remember whichever way around it was that they did it. Or maybe it was the other way around. They had more people wanting to go aircraft than avionics. They needed more avionics. So they dropped the requirement avionics, pushed the requirement up for aircraft, went, you haven't made it for aircraft, you have to go avionics. Avionics is a harder job. It fucking is a harder job. And then later on, when the roles flip around again, they were like, oh, actually, we need to lower the score to be an aircraft technician and raise the score to be... And they did that quite a lot. They moved the goalposts around quite a lot. So, yeah, interesting. I ended up, thankfully, doing the career I wanted to do, kind of, despite the fact I joined to be an aircraft technician. Anyway, you've been chatting away now, which means I can now jump into chat with some good evidence here and see what people have been talking about.
Luce is correct. As 6 feet 7 inches man, I was rejected from the Navy and Air Force. I gave up after that.
Is that for fast jets, James? Because it might be the same for jets here in the UK. I don't ever recall there being a height limit for Apache. There might be. I don't know. There might be.
I've just remembered my classic question for you about the Apache. When I asked where the ejector... Oh.
Good evening, everyone. Says Hattie Zoologist. Hope you're well. I went to Tower of London last night for Remembrance. Like to spray. All I can say is, wow, what a great tribute. I'm glad you enjoyed it, dude. Where are we? There was one I saw somewhere where people started telling me what their ranks and stuff were. I think I saw Mike, retired Staff Sergeant Viru. How do I say your surname, Mike? Viru? 2 tours of Iraq, US Army. I never did Iraq. Just as I got loaded onto Iraq as an operation, they fucking stopped it. They shut it down.
Yeah, you were quite gutted that you just
I wanted a second medal. So at the time, I had no idea we were going to get a Diamond Jubilee medal, and I was like, I can't be a one gong wonder forever. I need a second. I need a second medal.
One gong wonder.
Yeah, so I need a second medal. I need someone to keep me company. Otherwise, it looks tragic with one medal.
Tragic.
So the only reason why I got the Diamond Jubilee, because I'm one of these people, right? I said this the other day. If I'd have stayed in until now, I'd have 5 medals on my chest, okay? At this point, I'd have 5 medals across my left chest if I stayed until now. I'd have Afghanistan Service Medal. Cool. I'm all about wearing that one. I'm proud of that one. What?
I am not stupid. Andrew's backed me up. The Russian helicopters have ejector seats. And other US attack chopper has an ejector seat too.
So I had an Afghan Service Medal, right? Don't give me that face. You interrupted me. I had an Afghan Service Medal. My second medal I've got is Queen's Diamond Jubilee. I don't love that one. Because do you know the requirement to wear the Queen's Diamond Jubilee? You had to have been serving for 2 years at the point in which she had her Diamond Jubilee, and then if you were still serving at the point she had a Diamond Jubilee, you got a medal. Cool. Then I would have earned 3 more by now. I would have earned her Platinum Jubilee. Same, but slightly different. I would have earned King's Coronation Medal. You were in the army when the King came in. Cool. And then at this point, I probably would have had LS and GC, Long Service and Good Conduct, which is 15 years with no serious infractions. So you get 4 participation medals, a 1 for Afghan. So I'm not that sad that I don't have those other 3 really, but hey. Avarok says, I was in the US Navy Seabees. We were construction workers. I myself was an electrician. Interesting. Andrew Cameron, dentists, vets, musicians, nurses, surgeons, SPS, QMs, intel, chefs, all roles that got forgotten about, but the roles that the infantry and combat squads support roles couldn't do without 100%. I was quartermaster. My job was to provide supplies and equipment to support combat forces in Baghdad. Jesus. Hey, Talwyn, how's it going, dude? I'm catching up, by the way. Dirt says, Dad, 25th Infantry, 101st Airborne, 182nd Scout Dogs, Captain Vietnam, Little Brother, Chaplain Corps, Army Logistics, 1st Army Division. Jesus Christ. 101st Airborne. I was watching Band of Brothers today. Fucking love it. I was active for 13 years in Air Assault Brigade in the Netherlands. Last job, I was an NCO instructor. See, we're full of them. We're full of fucking vets and stuff. Mostly worked in research labs, says Seth. I did 2 tours of Afghanistan and 1 to Iraq, says Ryan, who was in the Air Assault Brigade. Oh, hang on, it's just jumped loads there. Oh, here we go. I joined because it was Gaz. I joined because of chucking it down in Manchester, and the nearest door to get out of the rain was the careers office. A couple of hours later, I'd done the test and signed up to join. Lots of evidence, pump ups and tyres. It was, Carl, yeah. One of my jobs was, in fact, to pump up tyres. Wait, he's too smart. Kick him out. I wouldn't go that far. When I applied for an engineering apprenticeship soon after college, I just met the minimum qualification requirements. I was turned down because I picked up how to soldier during the interview too easily. Oh. NCO is sergeant for the ones who don't know. I was 1 phone call away from joining Remy, says Dave. But he didn't. Well, obviously he didn't. Why didn't you, Dave? Interesting. I'm just wondering why. Granted, he died when I was 2. Never spoke of his father's service. My guess was he was Korean War. Moving goalposts, that sounds familiar, yeah. 6'4" is max army pilot. Oh yeah, cheers Google. I'm 6'5" and I couldn't. Oh wow. Same for driving an armoured vehicle. Seats don't adjust like normal cars. Use a height adjustment for that as well. Interesting.
I think the careers guy didn't have the heart to tell you Apache pilots' helmets only go up to size 58. Above that means the person is a balloon head. Heart.
Fuck you, Gaz! I wore a helmet with an eyepiece. I had one that fit me, don't you worry. Both a min and max height limit for Apache due to how much adjustment there is in tail rotor pedals. Interesting. I didn't know that. What about how heavy you are? I'm too short for my weight. If I was to do my time again in the camp cult, I'd go Navy EOD as I watched them play silly bugger games with fancy watches by my Royal Engineer, so God's Core. Paddy's Royal Engineers. 5 years service for Jubilees. Is it 5 years, is it? You can still get the Coronation Medal if I remember correctly. How? Tell me how, Andrew. Don't forget you didn't get Court Badge, aka LS&GC, yeah. The LS&GC Boring Bloke Medal. I was 5'10" and 22 stone, and Parcel Force wouldn't take me. Granddad and great-granddad were both MPs in their time in the army. I was in awe as a kid listening to his stories about time serving. MPs, military police, by the way, not members of parliament because they're cunts. I was Recce Mech, posted to 3 Battalion Remy and then 2 RTR, Royal Tank Regiment, by the way. Was on Op Herrick 9, loved my time. I did Herrick 8, Herrick 10, Herrick 12. Oh, wow. Look at all these amazing people, Luce. If I didn't do aircraft mechanicking or anything aircraft related, I don't know what I'd do. I don't know what I'd do in the army if I didn't do that. I was always quite fascinated with tanks.
Yeah.
I did my work experience that we do in secondary school at March of Military Port's REME section.
Did you?
Yeah. I did 2 weeks on base there in their workshops, working on their green fleet and motorbikes and fucking giant cranes and shit. It was great. Fucking loved it. It was really, really good. No tanks though. Rambo says, evening all, still in the hospital, kill me now. I mean, you're in the right place. Are you in reserves, or do they have that in the UK, or are you fully out of the military? I think there is a time frame after you leave where you're on like a reserves list sort of, but you're not actually reserves. So you can be called back up. We do have reserves here in the UK, but you have to choose to be a reserve. And you have to apply to be a reserve. If you choose to apply to reserves up to 6 years after you leave, you don't have to do any training. They just fucking put a uniform back on you. If you after that fact, or if you've never done service before, you can join the reserves if you've never been in the army in this country. But then you have to do selection and do your fitness tests and do all your training and stuff. I did Telic 2 and Herrick 7. You could go FTRS. I still keep getting asked. What's FTRS? What's that? I need to be a washing machine mechanic. Just fucking Calgon. My dad said I'm such a muppet and would be a danger to everyone with the guns. I mean, I've seen people do some sketchy shit with guns, Dave, to be fair. Of the 6 Doors of Blackpool. It's probably more dangerous than Herrick, to be honest with you. Full-time reserve? What's full-time reserve? Surely if it's you're full-time or reserve. I don't understand. I saw some shit on social media today that ground my gears. People using these 2 days as a way to push political agendas. But more importantly, people making comments on the sacrifices that people made 80 years ago. It boils my piss a little bit. Like, just not the time for it, is it? Full-time reserve, like Reg in the TA, they want your experience but will never make you deploy. Oh. I mean, I won't get messages from them now. I'm 10 years out, mate. Every single one of my close friends in high school went into the military, 2 into the army and 1 into Air Force. Oh, wow. The thing, so I don't know anybody who I went to school with or who I went to college with who then joined the forces.
No, you were the only one I knew.
Are you sure? Didn't you have a friend who was a sniper?
Oh my god, yeah, Daniel.
Yeah. I thought you. That was that your friend or was it a friend of yours, his boyfriend or?
Yeah, well, he was a classmate. He was in my class, but also his girlfriend I was friends with. I completely forgot about him. But that was when I heard that, because obviously when you leave school, you all just go your separate ways and bomb burst. And then you kind of, sometimes these people come back around, you bump into them some weird way or another. I remember that being really, I guess, kind of fascinating because Coventry isn't really a garrison town.
No, you don't really have much military presence around there at all, do you?
No, not at all. So for somebody, I think we only had one careers office and it was in the really quiet part of town. Yeah, so when we found out that he was a sniper, that was really like, oh my god. Sort of, because I literally, apart from him, there's no one else.
Yeah.
No one else I know.
But that would be an interesting role that you probably could never ask a person about.
No.
You know?
Yeah.
What's NAFI? NAFI is Navy Army Air Force Institute. It's essentially the shop on camp. It used to be ran by the military, and now it's ran by money-hungry, greedy civilian contract wankers. Here, this is the part of the thing, right? So we're talking about celebrating Veterans Day, and we should be celebrating Veterans Day. Absolutely. I think, like I said to you at the start of the stream, I think it's a good idea that the Americans go, hey, we're actually going to celebrate all the current serving people. Not the current serving, but the veterans that existed to this day, and the veterans that have survived. I think it's great. I'll be honest with you. One of the things that really drove me away from the army was a promise that existed that I never really experienced. I'll elaborate. When I joined up, everything I'd heard was about how well looked after soldiers are in the UK in peacetime. And what I mean by looked after is I'm not saying you don't do exercises and you have a cushy life, because train hard, play hard, fight hard, right, was the way it had always been. But I'd heard stories from people that had served previously who I knew, because I grew up in a little village called Hythe, which is in the Southampton postcode area in Hampshire. It's very, very close to a place called Marchwood, and Marchwood is a fucking great big military port. In fact, it's one of the biggest military ports, if not the only military port in the UK nowadays. Big old fucking base. So we were surrounded by forces because Marchwood. There was people, like, you could walk out of my house where I grew up with my parents, walk to a road, turn left, married quarters. There's a patch, right? On that road down in towards the seafront, it's all married quarters. So I grew up around forces, and you heard things about NAFI being tax-free everything because it's on camp. And then you heard things about the mess being cheap beer because it's run by the army, so they look after your soldiers. And then the food, army chefs stopped at source, so before you get paid, they take the money out for your food and they took a pittance out, and then you get your 3 meals a day. All this stuff sounds great as a young man at 18. I had to cook for myself. It was fucking great. I've got a roof over my head, food in my belly, and everything else I've got is disposable. What more could a young person earning money really want? On top of which, everything's going to be slightly cheaper because everything's tax-free. When I got to Arborfield the first time round, at least, the cookhouses, the defects, were still essentially... Well, they were still pay-as-you-dine. So, not pay-as-you-dine, they were still stopped at source. And so was your accommodation. So when you get paid as an 18-year-old in training and you have millionaires weekend and you go out on the piss in Reading and blow the lot in 2 days because you can, you know for the rest of the month you've got a roof over your head, heating, electricity, and 3 meals a day, right? Non-stop. We had the rugby club, and the rugby club was rugby club run for the rugby club. Cheap beer, well-run bar, incredible atmosphere, singing songs till midnight. It was some of the best times I've had, right, in the rugby club at Arborfield. But the shop was ran by a company called Spar here in the UK, a civilian company, and it wasn't the cheapest of prices. And it always makes me laugh when you'll see a price on something, it says £1.20, and the label then says £1.80. You're like, you fucking... But they have a monopoly because they're on camp. So soldiers would just walk to the shop. Oh man, I'll just buy it.
I feel like they're not allowed to do that. If the RRP is printed on the packet...
Recommended. Not enforced. Recommended.
I think... I was told the rule was a retailer can go below the price, but they can't go over it.
I don't think that's a law. I don't know. You might be right. Oh. 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 Oh.
I'm not touching it.
You're not actually touching it, are you? It's not happy right now, is it, chat? I think we fixed it. Okay, good. I then, once I finished my 2 years at training, 2 years to become an aircraft engineer, I was then posted up to Watersham in Ipswich, which is quite far away from family, right? Posted all the way up to Ipswich, and I got there and was told, here's the cookhouse, and they had affectionately named it Pay As You Starve. So pay as you dine was the official title. Pay as you starve. So okay, got to give my room. I was like, this is a shit fucking room. Naffy on camp, Ipswich, watching me remember rightly, literally middle of nowhere.
I loved it.
Yeah, but literally middle of nowhere. So you can't go to another shop. You have to drive 20 minutes to get to another shop. Extortionately priced spa, of course. The only thing was the accommodation was at least against Optus stores, but it wasn't that fucking good. So I was like, what's this pay as you starve malarkey, right? And you go into the cookhouse and you had to pay for your breakfast, lunch and dinner. And we're not talking large amounts of money, chat, to start with, right? We're not talking huge amounts of money. But we're talking like £1.20 for breakfast and £2 for dinner or something like that, right? But it just wasn't very good. Really poorly cooked shite. And if you got in there late, all the good choices had gone. And you were left with nothing but the bad. And getting in there late is often down to having to work a bit later or something. So it's often not a choice, right? Also means that people, young lads, specifically when you consider, I was an NCO at that point, but when you consider that the youngest lads who are Air Corps privates, who will still have Millionaire's Weekend, they'll still get paid and go out on the piss. And they'll blow everything in town and look at me with all my money. But then at the end of the week, they're eating fucking noodles out their cupboard because all they've got money for because they had to buy 10 pence noodles from the local shop. It's honestly, it's a travesty how... I don't know what it's like in the US. It'll be interesting to know. But it's honestly a travesty as to how soldiers are not nowadays being looked after. I remember just before... It's part of the reason why I left. It's on-camp bars were ripping you off. The food was crap and they were charging a premium for it. So I was bringing lunchboxes in every single day because the Scoff House food was so bad. They even had talked about, I don't think they ever brought this in, but they'd even talked about stopping the subsidisation they were doing for married quarters.
Oh, yeah.
And going back up to market rates for rent.
That'd have been us evicted. Because there's no way. There's no way. There was no jobs in Hadley because it's a little village.
Yeah. Interesting. Anyway, just go back to Blinkingly, and these Morse code mic taps don't work as well. Well, there's something you said earlier, Gaz, I saw as well. I think I've missed it. Done 8 tours in total, deploying to Kosovo, Bosnia, Iraq, and Afghan. Also recently got my bar for my Ellis and GC. 25 years of shenanigans and never got caught. Never getting caught's the key part for Ellis and GC, right? Wage change 2 makes anyone not an officer earn less over the whole career now. Oh, really? Was that for pension? When I was leaving, they were starting to raise the rents in line with local. There you go, see? They did it. They actually did bring it in. Oh, my God. I've seen too many things online as well. Again, this is British forces. I've seen too many things online as well where people in military housing have got a leak coming through the ceiling and then they report it and they get told, we'll get someone out in 4 weeks. Oh, literally leak coming through my ceiling. Yeah, 4 weeks. We'll get someone out in 4 weeks. Okay. You can't. That's not how you look after people. All respect for the soldiery, but I have the chance to catch a Kyrios stream. How dare you, Dirt! How dare you? Go give him some love, though. We love Kyrios. The shared kitchens in blocks do have things like proper air fryers and shit with an army cookbook. We didn't have that. We weren't allowed to have microwave. Well, we were allowed to have microwave ovens. We weren't allowed to have toasters or hobs.
Yeah.
Good. And the lads weren't allowed microwaves in their room.
It was a very bizarre... You're an adult. No, you're not. There's a whole bunch of shit we're not letting you do.
Yeah. Any more stories, though, people? I want to hear your stories. Send me your stories. They let anyone apply for housing now, do they? They wonder why British recruitment is down. Yeah. I was reading an article on, I think it was Sky News today on my iPad about this change that they're doing to... so there's a change that the Chancellor has announced in the country reference private education.
Which one's the Chancellor?
Rachel Reeves. So the Chancellor has announced that people that are paying for private education now have to pay VAT. So take whatever private education cost before, now add 20%. And it was already pretty expensive. right? And lots of people have got very upset about the fact they're going to have to pay an extra 20%. And lots of people have said, boo-hoo, rich people have now got to pay the VAT on sending their kids to private school. Like, well, I mean, you really want the next generation to be as educated as possible, so I'm not necessarily sure that's entirely the right attitude, but by the by. What I didn't think about until I until I read this today is a significant number of forces personnel that put their children in private school. Specifically board. Because they don't want their kids to be moving from school to school to school to school every 2 years, so they put them in private school. And they reckon of the people that they interviewed who have their kids in some form of private school, because they're in the forces, 70% have said if they have to pay the VAT, they will leave the army. Because they'll get a better job that pays them more money so they can
keep their kids
continue to keep their kid in some form of stable education.
I was saying this the other night, that if there was one demograph of new parents, when you get your what do they call it, like community midwife, when they come over and your baby's a couple of days old and they come and check that you're okay and your sterilising bottle's okay or you're breastfeeding okay and all of that. I wish there was another kind of, not welfare check, because that sounds like Big Brother, but another kind of compassionate check on military brand new parents. When they've got a toddler and you're thinking about preschool, I wish then they'd have the home education chat of, if you're worried about having to pull your kids out of preschools over and over and then infant schools over and over, did you know home education is completely legal and you'll never have to worry about moving schools because you're doing it? I wish that if there was one demograph that it was actually promoted. I suppose I said this to you yesterday, though, right? If the people who were serving, he or she was serving, was being paid a decent wage and still had all the old benefits, cheaper food, cheaper accommodation, cheaper everything, then okay, maybe you can consider a parent staying at home and being a home educator. But the truth of it for many military families now is that the spouse has to work because the wage isn't enough. Because it isn't nowadays. One of my friends wanted to be a demolition expert. First thing I know about it is a very military-looking man showing up at my door looking to interview me because my friend put me down as a reference. Was that a bit terrifying for you, Brian? That's it. Actually, let's do that. Let's go for colourful postcards. Favourite ever military-related story. Like, I want to raise the mood a bit. I want to increase the mood and the laughs and the jokes rather than... I feel like I've tumbled down this negative rabbit hole of they get treated like shit in this country. Mm-hmm. And they do. And I want to claw back out of this again. So favourite military story on postcards, go. First time on a mission was in Afghanistan as an infantry soldier. Lost 10 kilogram weight due to low sleep, bad food, German kitchen and high workload. Second mission was Iraq. I lost weight in Afghanistan despite eating fucking 5,000 calories a day. There's hard work out there. Do you know what? Eating out there is hard work. Yeah, you got to keep eating.
Because you've got to put so many calories in.
Yeah.
It's fucking hard work.
Well, we all know how I do in the heat, so...
You would not have coped. You would not have coped.
I'd just be in the corner crying.
Yeah.
It's too hot.
Military used to pay 80% of the boarding school fees. Normally means you have to post out of unit each time if you want to use it, though. So no watch from triangle without posting out. So you have to post out. Who's taking over all contracts? Ugh. My wife and her sister went to boarding schools in Wiltshire whilst her dad had postings all over the world. This is when the army paid for it for officers' children. Yeah, again, it was you used to be able to claim up to 90% of boarding fees. You had to pay 10%, but you used to have to pay used to be able to potentially claim up to 90%. But it was quite a stringent process. You had to apply for it, so you weren't guaranteed to get it.
I couldn't do the whole boarding school thing.
What, as in you go or send your kids?
Send the kids.
I don't know. Sometimes it feels quite appealing.
No, I couldn't do it. I'd miss out on too much.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't necessarily have kids to send them away, but people have
Their reasons.
Yeah, this is a delicate one to tiptoe around this
Yeah.
one, isn't it? Because we know
There's
people that have been
reasons.
to boarding schools as well, and some of them said they had a great fucking time and they really enjoyed it. But I'm one of those where mine is I had children to raise them. One of the reasons why I left was because I was like, we'll have kids. Luce will be fine at home with the little one. I'll continue to go away. It won't be a problem. And I started going away. I was like, oh, actually, this sucks now. I had this invisible rope tugging me back home, and I was like, I don't like this anymore.
Yeah.
Up until that point, I was fucking absolutely fine leaving you behind. Like, she's an adult. She'll be fine. She understands. And like you said yesterday, stick my stuff away in a wardrobe. Get on with your life.
Spare room, not the wardrobe. The
Yeah.
spare
All
room.
right, spare room then.
Another separation.
Yeah. Currently a huge SFA, SSFA, LA, SLA complete change coming with whole change of rules. Also looking to private market with MOD paying half and you pay the rest. Ugh. I've told you, let's go cheerful, Andrew, right? Cheerful. Best favourite stories on either the military is such a shit career, no one's got a good story, or we're focusing too bad on the negative stuff. My dad was in Paris, sent me and my brother to boarding school. Do you enjoy it, Captain Rex? I'm interested. Wife's dad went to boarding school at 4, then straight to Sandhurst. Couldn't imagine going away so young. 4?
Yep, couldn't do it.
Wow. I didn't know it was that early. My brother was responsible for reorganising the South African army. His subordinate got COVID, so my brother had to do both jobs at the same time. He was away for 18 months. On the plus side, he got a promotion for it. Well, there you go. Give me cheerful stories. I don't know what my favourite story was. I had 2 Christmases in Afghan that were quite good, actually. There was something about Christmas in Afghanistan that made it... People were like, we're out here, it's a bit shit, but we're all out here together. So you do like Secret Santa stuff, and it was actually quite a nice time. Although you're away from family, which sucks. Double sucks for me because my birthday's Christmas Eve, obviously. There was something quite nice about it where everyone pulls together. That was quite nice. We did a visit to the Royal Hospital Chelsea in London, which I organised after my second tour. I think it's one of the things I had to organise for my promotion, my report. So that was
Do you
fucking
have
incredible.
to organise these things? Can you not? Is there a way you can say, sir, no?
No.
If you want to go
have
to the Chelsea pensioners, you do it.
Have to know, but so if you think about it, when you're getting promoted in any job, this isn't just forces related. When you're getting promoted, you have to somehow demonstrate that the job above you you're capable of doing. Otherwise, they're randomly selecting people to promote on the hope that they might be able to do the job above them. And the job above you normally involves more organisation, more managing, and a whole different raft of skills, right?
A good friend of mine was Royal Marine. Gets blown off a roof and impaled. 9-month recovery, goes back and gets shot. Comes back claiming he's cursed.
I don't know if this ticks the box of cheerful, colourful postcards, Alex. I'm not sure if that classifies as a cheerful one or not. I'm glad he's still okay, even if he claims he's cursed. So do you have to do these things? No, you don't have to do them necessarily. But what they would do, so like your report, if you just do your job, then your report will say is good or bad at his job. Right? Cool, okay. But when you're looking at promotion and you're going up the rank from junior NCO to senior NCO to warrant officer, etc., they want to see that you've got the skills required to hold that rank above. So in army terms, a private soldier is a private soldier. A lance corporal is essentially second in command of a section. Then the corporal's in charge of a section and runs a section of blokes in army terms. So normally, about 8 people minimum. A sergeant is then control of the corporals and control of their sections, and so on and so forth. And you have this pyramid that happens. So every time you get promoted, you end up with more responsibility and looking after more people. And you have to organise things and arrange things and manage things. So for your report, to organise, when we got back from Afghanistan, a trip to Royal Hospital Chelsea for the workshop involves planning routes, booking transport, booking accommodation, booking places to park, booking in with a. So it's all itinerary management and time management. It's herding sheep through London, drunk people as well through London. Recovery back to Barrett, etc., etc. Like there's lots of things, there's lots of aspects to booking and building this trip, and then getting everyone on the trip, doing the trip successfully, and getting everyone where they need to be at every timing, and then getting them back safely. Where they go, he organised a seamless trip with no issues. That shows management and organisational skills. So do you have to do it? No. Is it going to be seriously beneficial for your report? Yes. Do I know of anybody who got promoted who didn't do that kind of thing? Not really. I think if you want to get promoted, you sort of had to do it, but we didn't have to do it, if that makes sense.
Did you get promoted?
Yeah.
Do you not feel a little bit like... Okay, so I have to organise one trip, which, let's be honest, I'm probably going to ask for help with because I've never organised something like this before. So I'm going to ask someone who has done it, and I'm going to say things like, do I really call that number, or is there another way to do it, or whatever? And that's going to be the deciding factor in my promotion, not the toil and the sweat and the blood and the practically doing the job anyway because of reasons. That's not going to get me the promotion, but this one obscure thing
will. There are
will.
A shocking number of individuals who I knew who got promoted because they did things like play army rugby, who were actually shit at their aircraft job.
So then does that not make you want to say, sir, no, if I've been doing above and beyond for a long time now.
You can't.
If that doesn't get me on the radar, I don't see why one trip would.
But like I said, people just play army rugby and they get promoted because they played army rugby. They rub shoulders with high-ranking people.
I think I'd be jaded in no time in the army. Just...
We broke into the NCA's mess, got completely shit-faced, naked, sang songs and drinking games. This was followed by a naked mile-and-a-half group run while being chased by the lads on guard duty. The Sergeant Major was annoyed. Hadn't seen most of the lads run that quick fully dressed. Luce asked for help. Are you not married to a squaddy? Do they do that?
They do ask for help.
Luce, what Liam is describing about promotion is not limited to military. I'm not. It doesn't surprise me at all. I've always said this to people, right? Luce and I have very different attitudes about this particular subject. Very different attitudes about this particular subject. So, there's this thing. There's a lot of this stuff like this in social media right now as well, right? About doing a job that you're paid to do. And there's a lot of people that will be like, clock in no later than you're told to start, clock out no later than you're told to finish, or clock in no earlier than you're told to start, clock out no later than you're told to finish, and just do your job description. And I'm like, yeah. So as a person in management, senior management as well, I'm like, yeah, you can do that. That's fine. Absolutely, 100%. No issues with it. You're never going to be in trouble. And then when the promotion comes up and there's a slot available for someone to get promoted to team leader or supervisor or whatever. And then your Oppo has been coming in early and going above and beyond and doing that little bit extra, and has been making sure the job's finished before they go home and not going, oh, done, time's over, I'm down in tools, I'm done. Guess who's getting the promotion?
So then you've just proven my point then.
What?
So the person who does stay late, who does come in early, they should get the promotion because they didn't know they were being tested.
Agree.
And they're showing their capacity. Somebody organising one trip to the Chelsea pensioners.
Yes, but you're missing the point. If you've then got two people who are coming in early and going home late, and one of them's organised a trip to the Chelsea pensioners, who gets the promotion? The one who's done the extra. That's how it works.
I don't see that trip as being an example of being able to hold the position. That's a trip. It's not organisational
skills, Luce.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Yes.
You've been doing the organisational skills for, I don't know, let's say 6 months before someone says, hey, Corporal Dempsey, I've got a great idea. You should organise a trip. The anomaly of the whole 6 months, that's the thing I'm going to judge you on. Not the 6 months of busting a gut and doing it all.
But that's not what I've said, is it?
That's what it sounds like.
That's not what I've not said.
This trip will decide.
I've not said you work for 12 months and then it doesn't matter what you've done for the whole 12 months, as long as you've done one trip, you'll get promoted. I didn't say that, though, did I?
That's what it sounds like.
You have to do your normal job as well. This is above and beyond. This is extra.
So then what you want about the social media then, of people who clock off at 5 because they get paid
So there's a lot of people out there that will say, and they're right.
You made me sad today pointing out how few people are quiet at 11. An office of 100's just me went outside. Town around didn't stop. One of my team decided 10:58 was the right time to go buy milk. Only a delivery driver came over to stand with me, WTF.
Yeah, yes, and thanks for the 50, man. I have a real bee in my bonnet about this one right now. I was in the gym at 11 o'clock. Luce was in the supermarket. You could tell your story first, I think, because you had, I think, probably a slightly better experience than I had. Mm-hmm. So Luce was in Morrison Supermarket, which is just over the road from us, and they did it well.
Yeah, I was trying to keep an eye on the time anyway, and I thought if we missed the 2 minutes, because it always happens that 5 to 11, you'll think, right, in 1 minute, I'm going to say to the boys, let's just stand here. And that's when Ben goes, Mum, I need the toilet.
Yeah.
Ah! So it turns out I was losing track of time anyway. And then someone comes over the tannoy and says something like, they're the manager of something or another. And we, as in like the royal we of Morrison's, we would like to invite you to join us in a 2-minute silence to pay our respects to the soldiers who died, defending their country. And I looked at my watch and I was already losing track of time. So I quickly went and grabbed Ben and I sort of put my finger to my mouth as if to say, shush, this is what we were talking about.
Yeah.
And James came and stood with me and he was all sort of like looking up and pondering. And then I could hear clinking going on. And in the aisle, there was another lady with me. She also stood and bowed her head. And there was a guy going through all the herbs and spices, clinking all the jars. He hadn't cottoned on at all that it was deathly quiet. No tills were going. The ambient music was turned off. Nothing. Just him clinking away. And me and this woman threw him some daggers. And he just he must have realised, but then obviously too proud to admit
balls
anything.
deep at that point.
So now I'm just going to double down. I'm just going to keep going, clinking away. Other than that, though, everyone, when you sort of leaned back and looked down the other aisles, everyone had stopped.
Yeah, the gym didn't handle it quite so well.
Yeah.
Which was a shame. Now, the gym always has music playing. And what the gym manager did about 2 minutes before 11 o'clock was turn all the music off. And then there was on the TVs in the gym, there's a lot of screens up in the gym. On the TVs, they had I think, BBC News or BBC One or something like that. I can't remember what it was. Which had the cameras on the cenotaph and on Big Ben. And then they even put the subtitles up. So it was silent but subtitles, so you could see when it literally says Big Ben chimes at 11 o'clock. And I was towards the end of my workout, but I already had my headphones in with BFBS on, which is British Forces broadcasting station. It's British Forces radio, basically. I had my headphones in with that on because I was like, they will tell me when it's coming up. So I stopped just beforehand, and I saw a bunch of guys in the gym who...
Grandad served in Remy during World War II. He announced the end of World War II via a telegram to his go. He pocketed it. Now it is in the NZ Army Museum.
That's amazing. Something I worked on at a museum, Clive. Thanks for the 5, dude. Yeah, you're a hero. So I looked around. All the guys stood up, hands together, bow heads, right? There was a guy, I was about half, so the gym's quite a long room. I was about halfway down. And at the end of the gym, it goes like around a corner here, right? It's quite big, the gym, actually, my gym. It's got quite a lot of equipment in it. I was about halfway down the gym. And I stopped, and there was a guy up this end of the gym who had he's a para colour veteran's shirt on, so I assume he's ex-para. He's built like he's probably ex-para as well, right? And he stopped in front of the mirrors and bowed his head. And my headphones are out at this point because I'm like, I don't need them in now. I don't need to listen because I've noticed that the gym has gone, here's the screens, and they turn everything off. And it was deathly silent for the first 30 seconds. And then you heard noise around the corner. And there was 2 guys around the corner making noise. And the para, who I assume was paravet, turned to them. And I don't know what he said, but he said something. And one of the guys come fucking strolling around like he's carrying carpets. Big fucking fat cunt. But like he's carrying carpets. Like he's a big hard guy. You can't tell me when to be quiet. And as he said the word quiet, he sort of stopped and looked around the corner. to realise that the whole fucking gym is dead still and everyone stood up, heads bowed, and then he fucking waddled himself back around the corner again. And I was like, you can't... I don't understand how people can miss this.
Yeah.
It's not like it's not publicised fucking everywhere. And how can people be... It always makes me laugh how people can be so ignorant to their surroundings as well. Whole fucking place is dead silent. Everything stopped. Everything has stopped. Apart from you two fuckers who think you're too big for it. You can't tell me when to be quiet. Oh, hang on a minute. The whole fucking gym's looking at us.
I'd already mentioned to Jim Jam that if we forget to do the 2 minutes because something like Ben needing the toilet, then we'll do our own little 2-minute thing. But I was really happy that Morrison's did it. I'm glad the Tannoy came on because I would have lost track of time.
I think, to be honest with you, even as a vet, I think it is different with kids. It is different with kids. Adults should know better, but it is different with kids. Because my eldest is very aware of what's going on. Our youngest is a little oblivious. He's got a loose idea because he's done some talking about it and some educating about it. He doesn't really know what's going on.
Yeah.
He still doesn't really fully comprehend what soldiers dying means. So if he gets to 11 and he's jigging for the toilet and he needs to go for a wee, I'm not going to get mad at him because he wants to. I'm going to take him silently.
No, I don't get mad at him. It's just of all the days, Ben. Of all the days.
Yeah, this is the one time.
We've been coming to this supermarket how many years and you've never used the toilet?
But it does, yes, and I feel for you, man. It does. It fucking grips me. I don't think if you do both yesterday, Remembrance Sunday, and you do Armistice Day here in the UK, we're literally asking for 4-minute silence out of your year. Which is not a lot. In terms of a percentage, it's not a lot, is it? That we're asking for. Do you know why they do 2-minute silence?
Is it 1 minute for the fallen and then 1 minute for those who made it home?
Yep, that's exactly why they do 2-minute silence.
Okay, I thought so. I wasn't sure.
Yep, which is why normally when it's like a memorial thing for someone, it's just 1 minute silence because it's for someone who's died or passed away. 1 minute for the fallen. The second minute on Remembrance Day is always for those that made it home. It fucking grips me so hard when people just can't shut the fuck up and stop for 2 minutes for 2 days out of the year. Next year it'll be on the Sunday will be the 11th, won't it?
Yeah.
So we won't even be asking for it twice. We're asking for it once.
Yeah.
Makes me angry, chat. Makes me angry.
I wish we were braver to say to people like the man clinking all the herbs and spices after the 2 minutes that we could approach him and say, "Are you joking?"
Yeah. Are you taking the fucking piss?
Yeah. But we're all so adverse to saying how we feel and being brave to go up to that person.
Yeah.
When did that happen?
People are so risk averse, aren't they, nowadays?
Yeah.
Everyone's so terrified in the modern world of having an opinion about something for fear of being called a name.
I'm not necessarily talking about that. Just about things like this. Like people who clearly haven't been touched by conflict or by someone they know someone who's gone to conflict or it's just not in their life at all. So they think they're immune to that. Actually, your life could have been considerably different if.
Do you think that's true though? Do you not think with 3 degrees of separation that everyone knows someone?
No, I think take the herbs and spices man. I think if you were to maybe go probably just 4 generations back in his family, I bet you'd find someone.
Yeah.
Who?
Hey, here's an experiment,
uniform.
right? 110 people still watching right now. Put a 1 in chat if you know someone, or at least know someone who knows someone who's active forces or veteran. 2 in the chat if you can't think of anybody in your life at all that somehow hasn't got some sort of relationship to someone who's current or ex-forces. Genuinely interested. 1 if you have got a relation somewhere. And when I say relation, I don't mean mum or dad. Just someone that you know. Or someone that you know who knows someone. 2 if you haven't. Gaz puts a 1. This is my point. Maybe we're an echo chamber though. Maybe because of the kind of a community we attract, we're a bit of an echo chamber. Not a 2 in sight. Oh, there is a couple of 2s.
What was the twos for?
People that have no relation to anyone in the forces and don't know someone who's got a relation to someone in the forces. Again, relation doesn't necessarily mean mother or brother. It could be friend. But the majority of people in there are all ones. They know someone who knows someone, or they know someone who's in the forces. Do I count? Yeah, I count. You all know full well that I'm in the forces. I guess then everyone would be ones, wouldn't it, though? That kind of breaks it, Garthy. Everyone who's in two is wondering who this weird guy on stream is. Yeah, Brian, you're fair. He said technically we all know you, so we all know at least one vet. Truth. Truth. My mate, who I don't see anymore, went to the engineers. If you count, it's one. I count, Yeston. Are you saying I don't count? Pretty much all of my colleagues are ex-forces or ex-coppers or both. So a lot of people that I know leave the army and try and join the police force. I wonder how many people leave the army and just feel a bit lost.
I think, I think once you've been in the military for X amount of years, I wonder if you're kind of institutionalized at that point, and that you need a very particular civvy life.
I reckon the institutionalization actually happens quite early on, though.
Yeah, probably.
I think when I left, the big wide world when I left was fucking terrifying to start with.
I wonder if the army puts you through courses so you can get the civvy equivalent qualification to what you have earned in the army, but I wonder if there's nothing that can really prepare you for Civvy Street, because they probably don't know themselves.
No.
Because all of your officers or your sergeants or whoever are the ones helping you get ready for Civvy Street. They're staying in. So they probably don't really know what a rent agreement is like. A civvy rent agreement, what can you go to your landlord about? What is your responsibility?
Well, so we had, we paid for married quarters, including a garage, and including our council tax for a 3-bedroom detached house with a garage. It was like just under £400 a month we were paying.
Yeah, it's wonderful if you're staying in. It's not helpful if you're trying to acclimatise.
No. Well, so there's a thing they do in the UK, CTW. After in your final year when you're leaving, they do a thing called CTW, Career Transition Workshop, and they essentially they sell it as this is the workshop you have to do, where we prep you to go into Civvy Street, right? And they do an okay job at essentially trying to map your military skills across to something civilian equivalent, right? Mm-hmm. But it's absolutely not aimed at aircraft engineers, because I can map my aircraft engineering skill across to aircraft engineering. It's the same. It's irrelevant whether the helicopter's got a gun on it or not. Engineering on aircraft is the same, right? So it wasn't so useful for me. It's more aimed at, I guess, people like infantry who have commanded guys running across the field shooting guns.
Yeah, like, how do you legitimise that?
What's this in Civvy Street? Yeah, absolutely.
Am I like an electrician or am I a dog walker?
With those guys, they did an okay job. But did I feel prepared for civilian life when I left? Did I fuck? I thought I was. Nope. Not at all. Who are one ex-Marine, one ex-Air Force, both joined the police. Interesting. My dad left the army and went on driving HGV. I only saw him once every 2 weeks. Was that better or worse when he was in the forces? But yeah, so I feel like that CTW did nothing for me really, because it was like, hang on, what's this bill that I've got to pay? What's this thing I've got to have now? What's this thing I've got to do? What's this form I've got to fill in? I don't know what any of this shit is or why I've got to have it, or we'd be fucked crossing over. It didn't help me. Well, okay, so I thought it was more helpful for your lot, Carl. Definitely wasn't helpful for me, really. A CV writing course, which was pretty shit as well. Yeah, not great. And yet people still do this career. That's why we should be proud of them. People take all this shit and they go, I'm still going to wear the badge.
If you had a person who was in the army and they've been in for a really long time, probably since 18, they've done maybe over their 22 and it's time to come out now, and they said to you, where do I begin? What would be the advice?
Fucking hell.
They've never had their own homes. They've never paid rent on Civvy Street.
I think I'd have to. I think I'd have to sit down with them.
Had one of the lads laughing at me during a rocket attack in Basra as we lay in a ditch by the road. He looked up to find me lying on my back starting to eat my Subway sandwich before it went cold.
Strong. We were sat in Kandahar airfield. There was a big hollow square wooden thing in Afghanistan, which was like, it was like brand name things, but it wasn't really brand name things.
Oh,
so there
okay.
was like a Tim Hortons, which is a coffee shop, and there was a Subway. The Subway was great because they'd advertise like turkey, ham, bacon, chicken, everything. No matter what you ordered, it all looked the same meat, and it was probably dog miscellaneous captured from the mountain, right? So you wouldn't eat. And they had like other little shops and stuff like that. Like, Tim Hortons was the go-to place. So from where our accommodation was to go up to Flightline, where Apache was, you basically go past the boardwalk, and we used to fucking live in Tim Hortons because fucking sweet coffee and donuts. And again, in Afghanistan, you have to plough the calories in because you do that and still lose weight. And we were sat at Tim Hortons drinking. I remember specifically drinking a French vanilla and having some donuts. Me and a couple of lads, and then the rocket started coming in from the mountain, and then the rocket alarm goes off, and then we were walking towards the fucking. They had concrete shelters everywhere, like bunkers almost, but they're like not underground, they're above ground. And they're basically like, when the rocket alarm goes off, you make your way to one of those shelters. So helmet on, body armour on, make your way to a shelter, wait for the all clear, then you can carry on. And we're walking towards this bunker, and a fucking rocket comes in and hits the ground and explodes. You're like, turn around, go sit back at Tim Hortons. Like, I might as well just sit with my coffee. Because if we'd have been fucking 20 metres ahead, probably would have been, well, not 20 metres, but further, probably would have been underneath that as it came in. Just turn around, sit back down, just sat there, helmet, body armour, French vanilla. This'll do. But yeah, if someone was leaving, right, I think what I'd actually probably do if someone was like, where do I start, is I think I would sit down with a spreadsheet, legitimately with a spreadsheet, of every bill. I think that's where I'd start. Legitimately where I'd start. Like, this is what we pay. So the number is irrelevant, really, but this is the things we pay for. This is the things you're going to have to look at paying for. Rent, council tax, contents insurance, gas, electric, water, etc., etc., etc. I think that's probably where I'd start. Like, before you get yourself a job, you need to make sure that the job you get
can afford you.
Can afford this.
Yeah.
What you need to pay for.
So then what about adjusting to civvy life in terms of how your boss talks to you in the army? That's not okay on Civvy Street. So if you find yourself in that conversation, you can say something.
So
and who do you say it to?
In my experience, and I don't know if this is the same for everybody, but in my experience, I didn't have an issue with people in Civvy Street talking to me in a way that they couldn't. Quite the opposite. They're softer with you. And sometimes you come out and you'd be like,
should have got a bollocking then.
What does he want me to do? I'm not entirely sure what. Have I just been told off? What was that? The biggest struggle I had was then me talking to my guys, because I went into management role.
Oh, the other way around.
And sometimes, so when I was at Siemens, I had a supervisor who was just directly below me when I was the production manager, who was never military, and I had a deputy supervisor who was ex-Navy, and I had a guy who was the deputy, essentially, who was ex-REME. So that was really fucking hard, because I could talk to Paul and Ross like I would do in the forces, because they're both ex-fucking forces. So they, yep, yes, boss, off they go. Fuck it, right, you go do that. Yes, boss. Off they go. Right. Talk to Dave that way, like, he'd just throw you a look. Like, oh, you probably need to be a bit politer there, because he's not in trouble. Because forces is give order, do order. You don't need manners. It's fucking irrelevant, manners. I wear a bigger badge than you. I say do this, you go do this. That's how it works. That's it. And in civvy life, it doesn't work that way. So even the bloke directly below you, you're the boss, and you say, Dave, do this. He's like, you fucking do this. I'm like, how fucking dare you? But obviously, I've not probably approached it the right way. So I never feel like I had an issue with being talked down to in a negative way, really.
Yeah, definitely the issue is you.
I actually think the opposite way round. I think people were too soft, and I was like, what the fuck are you asking me to do? Or have I just been told off? Because if I've been told off, fine. If I've cocked up, I've cocked up. Everyone cocks up. Everyone cocks up all the time. So just tell me what I've done so I don't do it again.
I've just made a connection that I'm not sure might be a thing. Do you think you flourished in the army because there's no grey area? So the autistic mind of you didn't have to entertain like the inference of small talk because it didn't really happen.
I'm 100% or 0% person, on or off, black and white, right?
So then when you came to Civvy Street, were you struggling to talk to your workforce because, oh man, the grey area
I do like
of
the grey
small
area.
talk.
You're shit or you're good.
What?
There's no in between. If you're not good, you're shit.
Yeah, like I don't care. It's your wedding anniversary. I don't care what day you're booking off. Just tell me what the day is. I can cover it then.
There was a couple of times where people fucked up with things like leave, and I had to cancel people's leave because other people had fucked up. I didn't have a problem doing that, and you could see the staff member who was like, "No, but I've booked something." I was like, "Well, tough. I asked for a volunteer. No one volunteered, so I eeny, meeny, miny, mowed it. You've got to cancel your leave. Tough." But I've booked something. I don't care. But I'm like, contract says I can cancel your leave. Cancel your leave. Yeah. People didn't like that. But I think I absolutely think now I know more about myself. I absolutely think that the ADHD and autism in me was definitely to my benefit in the forces. And there's a little scratch that just doesn't get itched nowadays. Well, not a scratch. That's not the way I was just describing it. There's a little itch that exists because things are often not black and white. Does that make sense? I'm sounding like you're looking at me like I'm not talking sense here.
No, you're fine.
But the grey area is a thing I've struggled with for the last 10 years. And when a boss, even like my own boss, is like, "Oh, you've done all right here." I'm like, "No, I've done good or I've done bad. Just tell me. I don't mind." Because if you think I've done bad, if you go, "He hasn't done what I want him to do," or "He's done a bad job," right? This is the way my mind works anyway. If you think I've done a bad job and you say to me, "You've done all right," I'm like, I don't know if this is good or bad now. So I don't know, like, if you don't tell me this is shit, Liam, so next time you might get the same thing from me. Because you haven't told me it's shit.
I get that with James. When he's really polite about something I've made for dinner, I have to really pressure him into a black and white answer. And I say exactly, if you just tell me, "Yeah, nice, Mum, it's nice," I'm just going to serve it up again in like 2 weeks. Well, so if you don't like it, I need to know.
Here's the other thing as well, right? When you think about the boys, what's the thing that you do at 10 o'clock in the morning?
We have our 10 o'clock tea break.
Yeah, but why? What do you do with your 10 o'clock tea break?
We lay out the day.
What does the army do?
Do they do a 10 o'clock tea break?
I mean, they do a 10 o'clock tea break, but called naffy break. But that aside, what does the army do?
They lay out your
This
job.
is your day.
Yeah.
You start at 8:30, or you're on parade at 8, or whatever it might be, right? You start work at 8:30. You've got to be in coveralls ready to go at 8:30. This is my job specifically. You'd work till 10. You've got naffy break till half 10. You'd work till maybe midday, or you might have PT or whatever. Right, you go for PT. You have to be at PT at this time. PT will be an hour. You'll finish at this time. You've got to this time to have a shower before you go for lunch. You've got until this point where you've got to be back in work. You've got to be in coveralls, back at work at 1:30. Blah, 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 blah. 5:30, finish. Jobs are good. Right, done. If you've got a briefing, you've got a briefing at this time. Right, everything's structured.
Do you think it's that way? So the mentality of the forces, any of the forces, is if we get our servicemen to do this routine, they'll trust us when we have to send them somewhere quite serious. I don't know about
the trust thing. I think it's more about the we say you do, and it becomes habitual. We say you do, we say you do, we say you do, and that is the way the forces work. So when you end up deploying on operations, your hierarchy say you do. You don't question, you do. And so I think that there is a degree of it in everyday life, even in the UK. We say you do, we say you do, and it becomes ingrained in you. You don't question it, you do it. You don't question the timing, you do the timing.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That when it comes a time of we have to send them somewhere quite serious and scary, and they might not want to do it because they've been listening to us this whole time and everything's been fine. Is the success rate slightly more?
Yeah, I don't know if I would. I don't know if I'd attribute it to conscious trust. maybe unconscious trust. But I think it's just, you just do it. You just get used to doing it. You just get used to doing as you're told, and then life carries on and everything's okay. So I don't think it's a conscious trust. I think I see what you're asking. I don't think it's a conscious where you go, they've never steered us wrong. I think you're just so in the habit of doing what you're told to do. And I think that some days when I suffer nowadays, and I have almost shutdown days, is because there's too much freedom. Mm-hmm. So I wake up and I'll have lots of stuff to do, but I don't have a plan in my head or a structure in my head. That's what my things to do pad sometimes comes out and comes here. If I start to suffer a couple of days in a row, my things to do pad comes out and I start writing things down. And it's too much freedom. It's not like 8:30 till 9:30 is gym, 9:30 till 10:30 is accounts, 10:30 till 12:30 is then admin for this, and then I don't have that structure in place, and sometimes I really suffer and I have to start putting that in place.
When I became a civ soup and told people to do things and was told no or excuses, I would have to hold back yelling I'll unalive you. Can't say that.
You can't, Mike. Oh my god, Roland slipped in with another 20 gifted as well. When did that happen?
Just a moment ago.
Roland, what are you doing, you lunatic? Thank you for 20 more gifted, and thanks Dave for 5 gifted too. We're on 96.
Carl says, well, no. You join the army, you expect to deploy, though they don't have to trick you. I'm not saying they trick you, I'm just saying, is there psychology behind the routine so that when the time does come...
Yeah, Luce is right. I don't think it's about... I think the whole thing isn't about tricking you into deploying. I think it's just about building in the discipline right from day one, forever through. So when it does hit that point in time where you are deploying, the discipline's there, the trust is there, the routine is there.
But it looks like a fair few people have a 10 o'clock tea break.
Oh, really?
This must be a thing. I just saw a gap in the morning and I went, right, I'm going to... Because by the time that 10 o'clock happens, I've been up and, I guess, working, if you like, for 4 hours at that point. I get up and I start doing the husbandry of the household straight away.
Does,
because I can do some things while people are still asleep that's not very loud. Things that often get forgotten about because they're little niff-naffy things I can do while people aren't distracting me or waylaying me, and they're not very loud. So by the time 10 o'clock happens, I've done a whole bunch of stuff, 10 o'clock tea break. And I get a hot cup of tea. Because at no other point in the day, if you don't make me a cup of tea, I just won't get one.
No, I know, yeah. I've noticed, which is why I offered to make one. And I often, there's a little part of me on Tuesdays and Thursdays when I'm in the studio all day, I'm like, I wonder if she's drank anything.
No, probably not.
Normally not.
No.
I wonder if she's remembered to use the toilet.
No, probably not.
No. Evan, thank you for the one gifted. We're on 97. Thank you so much. You're a hero. Jill says, wife's dad, who was obviously the ex-forces guy she talked about earlier, still had the routine up at 6, coffee at 7, coffee at 10:30, lunch at 1, pot of tea at 4, finish at 6, eat at 8. When we started going out, I was told to stop offering brews because it caused too much stress.
That routine,
I can fully believe it.
That routine just sings to me.
So, but I think it does. I think a lot of people. I think people in general are naturally attracted to routine, and I think people are like, "No, I'm a maverick. I don't like a routine." I bet they do feel a little bit better when there's a routine, or at least a plan. Yeah. I think most people, when they get up, like at least a plan for the day, even if it's not a routine necessarily, the same thing every day. But like a plan. What am I doing, and when am I doing it today? What timings am I working towards? I think that's important. So I think you're probably right. I think there's a direct correlation between autism, ADHD, and people that then thrive in the forces. I actually reckon there's probably you're probably accurate there.
Because I think I sometimes struggle with small talk, and I think I just have so much less. I can't. I only do the small talk with people I genuinely like and love. Because it's not actually small talk to me. I'm genuinely interested in how was your day. You mentioned your dog was sick. Are they better now? If I don't know you, I can't do the small talk. What are we talking about?
There is a little part of me that thinks that forces Liam rubs off on Luce a little bit where you like, I just don't suffer fucking idiots. And I've heard you audibly sigh at people and just walk away. Just turn your back and walk away. I'm like, proud of you there. Absolutely proud of you. The autism side of me loves the routine, but the ADHD side of fucking hates it. Preach, Lehman! So many people with that. I want a routine or plan. Currently, due to family stress, is not possible. Is there any kind of plan you can put in place with you, ma'am? Look at my previous message about autism in the forces. Do I have to scroll for this?
I think I caught it earlier. He said that if it was Andrew, he said that there is a link between neurodivergence and absolutely thriving in the forces.
There's actually been current studies just finished that has proven that people with autism and ADHD absolutely succeed in the forces. Routines, your job is actually fully laid out. People tell you exactly what to do and what you need to do. I believe the Royal Navy are actually doing a recruitment drive for people on the spectrum, specifically for things like intelligence and warfare roles. That's interesting.
Which is really, I do find that interesting, because for the longest time, it was recommended to not put your neurodivergence on your CV because it could career block you. And now they're actually recruiting especially for.
Gaz says it's why we love tours, 24 on, 24 off. This is what you need to achieve in your 24 on, no BS, no distractions, just crack on. I absolutely agree with you. For me, the shit part of being away of tours was being away from you. I can't say being away from the boys. I never went on tour when the boys were born. So it was being away from family, and that's where it ended. Everything else I loved.
Yeah.
The routine of like I could have done when you do 4 months of 24 on 24 off with the routine we talked about yesterday. I could just keep doing that, and just be happy, just keep living. It's fucking great.
I found it difficult because it was the guilt of enjoying a night out or just enjoying something for yourself while you were in a war zone, because it was always, he's in a war zone, and it's half of it is, yes, I know, but there's also a fucking Timmy Hortons there. Like, come on, let's not.
I mean, not a Bastion, babe.
But it was the most bizarre frame of mind to try and be in. I can't. There's nothing like it, and I would never dream of trying to equalise your tour and then my half of your tour.
Nope.
I would never dream of it. They're both unique in very bizarre ways. There's nothing I can't. If I none of my friends have an experience of sending like a boyfriend over or a husband over, so I don't talk about it. It's so long ago now anyway, there's no point talking about it. But if someone tried to say, oh, what was it like? I couldn't explain it.
I don't think you're being fair on yourself when you say it was so long ago that there's no point talking about it now. I think it's still relevant experience. And I've always been an advocate for, we celebrate the veterans, and we celebrate the current serving, and we celebrate the fallen, and the spouses. No, they shouldn't necessarily wear their husband's rank, and they shouldn't put it on CVs, etc. But we should also spare a moment to think about them as well and what they go through, because they go through a lot. Because you get your normal ripped away from you for 4 to 6 months, and sometimes the person that comes back not the same person as well.
Yeah.
So I don't think sometimes we spend enough time thinking about the spouses and the families that
and then
that support the soldiers, because soldiers are supported by the military and by the system, etc. to a point, but they're also supported by those at home, and we don't talk about that enough, I think.
And then there's a really weird thing that happens, that there's enormous pressure. Oh, your boyfriend's coming home, like, oh, what kind of night you gonna have? So then, like, I just don't discuss sex
fucking
with
about 7
friends.
seconds.
It's like, I find it bizarre, people that do discuss the intimacy workings of their relationship. I find it bizarre, but each to their own. So not only now is there a weird outside pressure on your first night home, but then it's also, well, let's not forget, this man has been missing from my life for 4 months, and you just expect me to sleep with him and fancy him and want to kiss him, and he's not actually been here. And absence at times does not make the heart grow fonder. Absence creates distance, creates sort of a stranger feeling. It's very difficult, very bizarre.
We only need 7 seconds at that point after 4 months away, and 5 seconds of that is crying after the fact.
So then you have this weird pressure that he's gonna have the night of his life. Right? Do I get a say in this? Because, like,
well,
he might be different now.
Here's the other thing that people don't think about, which Mike's kind of just touched on a little bit in the chat as well. Here's the other thing people don't think about. I go out on tour with, I don't know, 30 other people, right? Who are all in the same boat together, and you build your little tour family, and you've got camaraderie with every single person. Every single person on tour with, you've got camaraderie with them, right? And then spouse at home, on her own. With kids sometimes.
Yeah.
Don't have the same camaraderie, they don't have the same people to share the experience with. Wee man, thank you for 5 gifted, you legend. He also said, taking care of my mum, so became a carer, gave up regular work. My routine at the moment is care for mum and be away from family. It must be hard. You're a fucking hero, mate. Absolute hero. People that do that sort of shit for their families. I think if my parents were like, we need a carer, I'd really struggle to do it. Like, Luce, you're qualified.
Yeah, I wouldn't struggle. I'd be like, right, my time to shine.
You're a fucking hero, wee man. Thank you for the 5 gifted as well, man. You're a double hero. What a legend. I like the military, but not the constant horniness. Oh, amazing. Amazing. Right, chat. I think I've hurt my arm in the gym today as well, quite badly.
Have you really?
Yeah. It's been really sore here for the rest of the day. I don't know what I've done. I've tweaked it somehow. Anywho. Thank you so much for the gifted wee man. You're a legend. We actually have gone over 100 members, despite the fact that it not being a target. We're at 102 members tonight, Luce.
Awesome. Best
Aren't
chat.
they fucking incredible? Best chat, absolutely.
Best chat.
If you've been gifted a membership, !Discord, get yourself in the Discord server. You can continue the chat in there if you want to. Hope you had a good time at the rugby. Kept an eye out for you, but didn't see you. The rugby was fucking incredible. We lost. So fuck you, Australians. We lost. But the day was incredible. And on the 80th minute, England were winning. And then by 2 points. And then on the 82nd minute, England were losing by 5 points. What a fucking game. We watched 10 tries. It was incredible. Incredible. Right? Honestly. So good. So much so we're thinking about going back in the new year. Because it was a fucking fantastic day out. We were just right place, right time. So we saw the head of the RFU, the Rugby Football Union, lay a wreath at the Poppy Gates before like most of it kicked off with the last post on a bugle, and Sir Bill Beaumont was behind us. Amazing. We then watched all the players come in. We were just again in the right place, right time. It was a fucking cracking day. It was great. The rugby was amazing. Some piss poor defending on both sides. Some incredible attacking by both sides. The Aussies kicked a penalty and kicked a conversion, and we didn't get a penalty and we didn't kick a conversion. So that was, honestly, it was fucking so good. I'd suggest the Aussies probably deserve to win it. Probably. But it was a good game of rugby, and we definitely got our money's worth. Like, when you pay to watch a game of rugby, you see 10 tries. You're like, that was a good game of rugby. Right? Ultimately. Amazing. What's also fascinating is watching people get hit at rugby, go down, like fucking big blokes go bang into each other. Bloke goes down hard. The Australian player, England player's on the ground, flat, out cold, right? The Australian player calls the ref and is like, ref stops the game immediately, stretcher straight on the pitch. Doctors running to him. They had 5 doctors on him immediately and a stretcher on the pitch, right? If that's football, they'd basically be fucking carving his headstone at that point. He's dead. Right? And then you watch the stretcher car drive off the pitch without him on it, and he gets up because he's like, I'm walking off the pitch. Fucking love rugby. Love it. Honestly. Apologies, this is a dumb question, but is this holiday to honour World War I or all wars for UK? Armistice Day in the UK is to honour all fallen veterans. All. It's not just for World War I, but obviously it comes from the end of the First World War, which was the 11th hour, 11th day, 11th month to 1918, right? So that's where the day comes from, but it is just any conflict. All wars, any conflict. It's specifically to celebrate and remember the fallen, but we also remember the veterans as well. There's lots of veteran stuff that goes on, which is why I'm quite big on it, obviously. So yeah, hope that answers your question. And there's no such thing as a dumb question, really, when it comes to these sorts of things. Like, when there's different cultures who do things differently, because like we've been talking about at the start about how it's Veterans Day in the US, it's a bit different to our Armistice Day here in the UK. I don't think there's such a thing as a dumb question when you're just trying to educate yourself. I think that's... You're not being fair on yourself there. Army Navy Thanes Day, that could be fun. It's toned down quite a lot now, so I'd probably be tempted to go back. Because when I first went to Army Navy, it was fucking carnage. And I don't want to do carnage again. I'll be tired the next day. Anyway, tomorrow we are going to return to usual programming. So we've done Remembrance yesterday. We've done Veterans Day today. Tomorrow we return to usual programming. So at 1:30 you have a Liam and Joe AOS show. And then at 7:30 you've got a live game of Age of Sigmar. And Joe will be playing the fucking Fire Slayers finally. So look forward to that tomorrow. Wednesday we're back with a Warhammer show at 7:30. Thursday we've got a normal Liam and Joe show. And then a live game of 40k. Adam's back of Beachhead fame. And he asked me today, Space Marines or Custodians. I said, whatever you want, talk to Joe, because Joe wants to play him and he's thinking about bringing Demons with a brand new painted up Bellacore. And then Friday we're back with 40k After Dark at 8:30. Right? So we're back to normal Warhammer-ish content from tomorrow onwards. Thank you so much, by the way, for hanging out with us for Remembrance stream yesterday and for the Veterans Day today, especially for those of you that are still here. I know we get smaller audiences when we do these streams, but I think it's important to do these streams. Very important to do these streams. And it's something we've done every year, and I think we'll continue to do it every year from now on. So I really appreciate you guys hanging out with us. You're amazing. Thank you for sharing stories, talking about family, talking about experiences. Big shout out to all of you people out there who are current or ex-forces or services people, because you're all fucking heroes in my eyes. Every single one of you. I sit here with my t-shirt on and my badge on, but it's not about me. It's about all of you. You're all amazing humans. And a big shout out to the spouses that support it all as well. Like people like you. You're all right, you are. I see you yawning away over there.
Yeah.
You've been doing it for like the last hour. You're all right, baby. A bit tired.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should we go to bed soon?
No, I need to check the boys in the bath.
I need to clean the kitchen.
We tried a new group today.
Yeah.
Well, a new old group. We went 2 years ago, and then James didn't want to go again. But we went today with Ben, and he insists on going barefoot as often as he can. It was an old village hall, so he's got like black feet.
Yeah. Like jet black dirt everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know the type.
So now, and because he's really ticklish, when I get the scrubbing brush on the bottom of his feet, I either get kicked in the face or it's like having a whale in the bathtub. The water goes everywhere.
Andy says, you're a hero too. You brought a great community together. Nah. We create the space. You lot make the space though. Anywho, look forward to all that fresh Warhammer content coming over the course of the next week. And I think that's everything. I think next weekend is back to a normal weekend and everything kind of returns to normal from tomorrow. Mostly. Ish. Sort of. Probably. Or anything that you would consider normal for our channel anyway. Right, so I'm going to bugger off. You've been incredible. Thank you so much for 102 gifted memberships tonight as well. Unbelievable generosity on a day where we don't put targets up because of what it's about. Thank you so much. Special shout out to Roland Bain, who gifted 70.
Crazy.
Well, no, actually, if we think about yesterday, he gifted 120.
Crazy.
Crazy. But that's because they are...
Best chat.
Best chat. Right, you people are amazing. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow for the Liam and Joe show at 1:30. If not, we'll see you in the next one.